This is the Convo Lounge. Expression, exposure, experience.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Convo Lounge Podcast, where we have different conversations around the unemployment problem in our country, trying to have solutions come forward onto the unemployment problem that is happening within our country. And today we have a man that I think has had a conversation with most entrepreneurs in the country, Mr. Sonny Serite, joining us in studio today. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to the Convo Lounge Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Cool stuff. So let's maybe back to your career. I think also your career is something that I've seen shifts in it. There was one point you were working for a water corporation company. You moved to being a journalist. You went into now deeper into the journalism, unleashing some of the wrongdoings that are happening in the country. Now you are a brand ambassador for a financial agency, something that I don't think it has been done before. Has there been anybody who has done it before you?
I can't think of any.
Yeah. So let's talk about that transition from you starting off at the water corporation's company and shifting to these different jobs that you have shifted into. What that entailed and why the shift.
Oh yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I've done it all, man.
Yeah.
I think after my Form 5, I worked for water utilities.
Okay.
And I was a driver messenger at water utilities. But even then, I had the love for writing. I think it came from school. Yeah. During my school days, I was a badass writer.
Yeah.
So even as I was working for water utilities, I would help the PR department with writing the newsletter. And then I would write letters to the editor, and they'd publish my it was opinion letters.
Yeah.
So, I eventually, slowly and gradually, became a journalist. In fact, I started off as a columnist because of my opinion pieces. So I remember at the time, Botswana Gazette wrote me in as their regular contributor.
Yeah.
So I was writing columns for them, political columns. And then when the Telegraph, sister publication to the Sunday Standard, was established, Spencer Mohapi wrote me in now as their permanent columnist.
Yeah.
So I was writing the column, and then I ventured into journalism before I even studied for journalism.
Yeah. But let's go back. Go back. Are you not in the age gap yet, or that it's something that came before you? Like, why would you then move from school and not do those Chaba?
Yeah, this is what happened. I didn't do well at Form 5. Okay. So I wasn't absorbed for Chaba. So I had to immediately do something. Mm-hmm. So I found a job. That's how I missed Chaba.
Yeah.
And then, we can take it from there.
Yeah.
Form 5... Chaba phase, I was working as my contemporaries were doing Chaba. Yeah. In fact, I'm wrong to say I started at water utilities.
Yeah.
I started at the now defunct Hyundai. Mm-hmm. We were assembling cars. I think it was earning around 350 per month at the time.
Hyundai is where there used to be that when it was still having a manufacturing facility in Botswana.
Yeah, I started with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Where do you come from in terms of the country, Botswana?
I come from Maung.
You studied in Maung, lived in Maung.
Yeah, born in Maung, but grew up in Frankstown. Mm-hmm. I think I left Maung when I was doing my standard 2. Yeah. And then I moved to Frankstown, did my primary, junior, senior up to Form 4. Then I went back to Maung to finish my O-levels. Yeah. I had to go back to Maung to be with my moms. Yeah. Yeah, she was an old lady, but she was the one who took care of Komora Gang.
Yeah.
So we feel like already now when he has a son.
Yeah.
So I started.
And then living from Maun to come to the big city, Gaborone.
Yeah.
Work for one of the big manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
Vehicle assembly companies in the world. How did that transition come about? What
my sister and aunt were living in Gaps, so it was a matter of come here so we can find you something to do. Yeah.
So now let's get to you studying journalism. You then moved from being a driver at water utilities, coming down to now, writing and starting off. I think you said you didn't do well at Form 5, but I would assume your compositions were always top tier.
Yeah, that's true. I did very well in English.
Yeah.
I think I was so good in English writing it. I'm not eloquent at speaking it, but when it comes to writing it, I'm bad news. So I think for me, venturing into journalism, because you write in English, you express yourself in English, so that's why I easily gelled into journalism. But the inspiration for journalism came from this. When I was a young boy in Frankstown, my pops would come from work with the daily news.
Yeah.
And, so I'd read, and the curiosity was, okay, how do these people compile all these stories? And then I remember when I was doing Form 3 or 4 at Matters Bay, Emma Mbukudo,
the now editor
of The Voice.
Yes.
Yeah, she comes along as a journalist. I think at the time she was at UB, but working for The Voice. So she came to our school to do some interview. She was interviewing us about teenagers, Mjolo and all that thing.
Yeah.
So I happened to be one of the students she interviewed. So 2 days later, I pick The Voice and I see my picture and I see everything that I had said to her written, of course, now.
Yeah.
Then okay, so this is how they do it. You go to someone, talk to them, then you write about it.
Yeah.
So that curiosity developed, and the rest is history. Yeah.
But what makes a good piece, though? With the type of journalism that you went into as you developed, you started now writing. I think me starting to know about you first was you were the guy who was unleashing the things that are talked about in the streets. And some of them are some things that are not known to the public, and you bring it to light. You talk about corrupt politicians and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it was for a reason that I chose the investigative route.
Yeah.
Because everyone was writing about
who slept with who.
Okay, I didn't do tablet. Of course. And who slept with who. Tablet, it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Going to Mavonte or going to the football match to write about it.
Yeah.
Because I could see most of the journalists were scared to venture into investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And you asked what it takes. It takes the guts and the heart.
Yeah.
So you need not be scared.
Yeah, you need to be a Bruce Lee.
You need to be a Bruce Lee. Otherwise, you'll not do it because you'll be intimidated, you'll be threatened.
Yeah.
You'll be, they'll try to bribe you. So you need to
sometimes you even go to jail for it.
Of course, I've been to jail for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was Jalo like getting you to then write and just be fearless and not fear or your story might not see the paper tomorrow. How do you then become so intentional in putting it out there, and most importantly, even the editors, by Longhore, they get to vet your story if it's going to go into the paper or not. How do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember at some point my mom called and said, "Son, I hear and it's very dangerous. Can you stop it?" Then I said, "Mom, show me whose son must write this."
Yeah.
If you say, okay, mom again, all these things, then I'll stop and allow them to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it was I don't know whether I should call it a calling or what, but it was just something that I purposefully ventured into.
Yeah.
I knew the repercussions, but I decided to just do it. And at the time I was doing it, I didn't do it out of malice or what. I'll tell you, for the, I think, 15 or 16 years that I was doing investigative journalism, I've never been successfully sued because I didn't go out to tarnish people's names without facts or what. I always ensure that my story is balanced. I give you the right of reply, and I always had evidence. Most of my stories, until I have the document, that's when I'd write about it. And I'll make sure that I don't write about you before I tell you that I'm going to write about you. What do you have to say?
But when you talk about that landscape, journalism landscape in the country, currently hiring thing, looking with the 15 years that you were practicing or you've been in the industry, what sort of difference do you see in terms of the quality of the output that is coming from, the young writers by what it is that you see from them say, I
think the danger is to rush in to break the story before you gather all your facts and plug in all the holes. And I feel for them because now they have to compete with social media. Once you're still investigating your story, someone publishes it on social media. But, I always said, social media, they can write maybe Shangudi Sahel. I don't know if you know what Shangudi is like. They don't do
deep into it.
I always, when I was practicing, we'd get invitations for press conferences where corporates, they'll come tell us, okay, this is what we've been doing. They'll tell you all the glorious stories. And because journalists are lazy, they'll be given the
press release, press pack.
They just take the press kit and then they write what they've been told. So with me, I didn't do that. If you tell me something, I'm going to investigate it. I know I once attended a press conference where I unintentionally embarrassed the CEO of that organization because he was giving us the financials, end-year results. Then I looked, because they thought they'll never read this bulk document. I went through that document and found some, discrepancies in the report. And I pointed them out to them. And so I think the difference is they are not that thorough. And right now, but what could be brought into now, develop that training in terms of training, so that they could bring out that quality or have that level of work ethic that you would have as a journalist? I think they need motivation from their employers. Firstly, journalists are not paid well. They're not well resourced. So you need resources to investigate. You need motivation, to be told that, okay, no, we might not be paying you that well, but we appreciate your work. That alone, appreciation, can go a long way in encouraging or building proper journalists.
This organization, Inc., let's talk about that. What it is and how it actually got into shape the career that you had in journalism.
Inc., Investigative... you remember that one, Abu Juan?
Yes.
Okay. Inc., I don't know where it is. I don't want to talk for it.
Yes.
But of course, because I once worked with them,
when you were there,
I can say what they would do. They were founded by some American organization to do investigations. I think the objective was that, as newspapers, at times, you don't want to write about an organization because they give you adverts. So Inc. came in to say, okay, you don't need adverts from anyone, so we'll fund you. And it was... I enjoyed working with them. I think one of the biggest stories that I still remember that I did for them was the Musu Gate, where I enjoyed that story. You know why? Because I had all the evidence. I could even write the amounts. 99 Pula 83 Tebe was used on this. BDF 907489 Kolui was used to pick this material, go cash build on this, and it was signed off by this. So as an investigative journalist, when you have that information, your story, you are confident because you have all the facts. So it's one of the stories that I enjoyed doing for Inc.
But then when you talk about that, the issue of advertising is something that sort of like brings some disrepute to
Yeah, it compromises the quality.
The quality.
Yeah.
And right now, free and just to write. Do you think there is a way to go about it? Not to bite the hand that feeds you?
Yeah, the problem with journalism or media here is because the owner, the editor, overseer the advertising department, the editorial department. So he always tries to strike a balance. If you write something about CEDA that is bad, publish the full spreading one. So there's always that with some. I mean, in developed countries like in the US, they'll have two different departments. Editorial will be in this block, and then advertising and marketing will be the other side. They don't even know. Go to the marketing department, doesn't even know what's coming out tomorrow in the newspaper. Yeah. So I think that's the way to go about it.
All right, let's go for a quick break. We'll come back. We'll continue with the Convo Lounge Podcast today. Let's hear what you have to say on our social media platforms. 76519992. It's our WhatsApp line, and that's how you could get to interact with us. #Convo Lounge Africa.
This is the Convo Lounge. Expression, exposure, experience.
Welcome back to the Convo Lounge Podcast, where we are having a conversation today with Mr. Sonny Serite, just tapping into his life, tapping into his work as a brand ambassador. And that's part of the conversation. I just want us to get into that because when COVID first hit, the tourism industry was so very much affected. He came together with a dear friend of his, Mr. Charles Chalefang, and also a journalist himself. They just went across the country, going to different places in the country, showcasing the tourism industry, Botswana, and just to find out from him how all of that came about and how it went. It really a great time, I have to believe, of your life. Just getting to turn something that is so much of a passion into a project that now gotten to put a lot of Botswana that was not seen by many, more especially on social media. Let's talk about how that came about.
Yeah, man, those were the best 28 days of my safari life.
Yeah,
we were on the go every day for 28 days non-stop. So this is how it started. It was during COVID, like you already said, and then the tourism industry of Botswana, that's when we only realized we've been banking or counting on international tourists. So international tourists couldn't come, and then tourism establishments started to suffer. That's when for the first time, even some of the establishments, they always don't care about local tourists. They started to say, no, we even have rates for locals. But they came at a time when locals were not interested in their products. So I said to Talva, and it was boring to be home, we're home. Then I said to Talva, man, let's approach BTO. And do something that can inspire local travel. So we wrote a proposal to BTO to say, you know what, your industry is going down because outsiders are not coming in. You only have locals to rely on. But locals at this point, some of them have money, some of them have time, some of them have even the equipment, but they don't know where to go. So why can't we go around showcasing all these tourism destinations and inspire Botswana to go and see them? And then they gave it a go ahead. We traveled the whole country. It was fun. I enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. And the feedback was very good. We received feedback from some of these establishments, and they told us, we just received bookings from people who said they saw our facility from your social media platforms. So I think the objective was met.
It's met.
So that's exactly how it came about.
Where is it now? Where's the project now?
The project is it's there. We are still trying to see if we can do Rediscover 2. But because of our busy schedules, I think we haven't really come up with a time that is convenient for the both of us to embark on it. Yeah.
So let's look at some of the places that you guys went to, and these are places that for a very long time we're thinking it's expensive to travel in Botswana, and the question then becomes: is it expensive in Botswana? If it's expensive, what's making it expensive?
That's a good question. People think safari excursions are expensive. Yes and no. You can choose. If you want to sleep in a luxury bed in the bush, you leave your luxury bed here, but you still want to sleep same bed, yes, it will be expensive for you. But if for you is just to go and enjoy nature and what the wilderness has to offer, then it's cheap. I'll tell you this. Right now, if you go to let's say Savuti, where I was 2 days back.
Yes.
Savuti, the same place where I was. There were chalets, okay? 8,000 pula per night. And then next to the chalets, there are just trees where you pitch your tent. I pitched my tent. I paid 125 pula per night. Okay, that guy is sleeping 8,000 bucks. I'm sleeping 125 pula. You know what happens in the morning? We go into the same bush. We see the same lion. We see the same elephant. So that's what I'm saying. It's expensive. And it's cheap. It depends on what you choose.
So in terms of that, then getting to encourage people and get people to understand this, where do you get such information? Maybe this is something that is not known to Botswana. That is why they'll prefer to go travel to other places outside. Or maybe I'm just feeling these are just lions in the background. In my backyard and can by any time. What sort of maybe gets people to go out there as opposed to local travel?
I think it all comes from the love, love for the wilderness, and then they need education. I mean, people need to know about something before they can try it. So perhaps
that is where Rediscover Botswana Cape.
I hope Bichu is listening. I mean, they need to engage me so I can teach Botswana how to camp and so maybe let me not dish out free education. I need to be paid for it.
Sounds like your term being a CEDA ambassador is coming to an end. Now you're looking for the next gig. Let's go to the CEDA campaign. We just got off the BTO Rediscover Botswana Travel, and then you are like, yo, I still want to travel more. You get another one with CEDA. Let's talk about how that came about, because when we started the conversation, I did mention I've really never gotten to know anybody who has done what you have done, more especially on social media. Traditional advertising in your newspapers and all of that, that is how corporates would have looked at taking their brands to the people or telling the stories, but you came up with a different concept of now bringing CEDA from the ground to the people on social media. Let's talk about that project.
You see, with CEDA, it all started with me being a journalist, okay? I could see how journalism is taking a knock. Newspapers were not doing well. So I knew I had to find a way out of a media house, okay? So I approached CEDA and said, you know what, with my experience as a journalist, you have a very bad reputation. But you have that bad reputation because of us journalists. Do you know why? If you come with a positive story, as journalists, we don't like, especially our editors, they don't like feel-good stories. That is why the front page will never be about a CEDA beneficiary who's doing well, or it will be about a minister who took a loan from CEDA and is not paying. One negative story. So I said, we always get good stories about what you do at CEDA, but we don't publish them. We rather publish, if you give me a list of CEDA beneficiaries, I'll go through it and then look for known names, okay? And then say, 4 ministers received CEDA funding, and then the other 200 in that list because who is that one? So we want to make it look like it's for the elites, it's for the well politically connected.
Yes.
So I said, okay, I don't know if you know this song, you're sensing. So I said, okay, I'm part of Baba Sensing. Yeah. So can I be part of Baba Bakanyang?
Yeah.
As CEDA has a marketing and PR department.
Yeah.
But really, when these stories are told by them, people just say, what do you expect? They'll say it. They have to say it.
Yeah.
So I said, I can go around, talk to these people, tell their stories in their own words, and so that people can relate. When it's told by me and not a corporate, if it's on CEDA social media page, you don't even know who posted it.
Yeah.
But when it's me, people can relate. I drink with people, I go, okay. And then even then, I tell it, I put pictures and quote these people as they say it, or no, this is how I started. So the main aim was to demystify this thing about CEDA is for the elites, and then inspire other people, other Botswana, CEDA is for everyone. Come through and get a loan from CEDA. I met so many people who said, before you told us about this, we always thought, no, CEDA is boss mama. But trust me, CEDA is not for boss mama. It's just that CEDA is for everyone. So boss mama will always be in there.
Within that,
so you can't say, because you don't even, when you get there, you don't even get asked. They won't even ask you how relate, or we are related. They just ask for your omang and all the other requirements.
So, but how do you craft your stories? Getting to choose who you get to profile, because I got to realize that during your campaign, you were profiling the success stories, and then Botswana started to say why the success stories and not the failures, and then you sort of like shifted also with that.
Actually, trust me, I had wanted to include those CEDA beneficiaries who didn't do well, so that other people can learn from their mistakes. But sadly and unfortunately, they're not willing to come out. When they come out, they say, but I don't want you to publish
the failure part.
My failures. Because I think it's because of the stigma that we attach to failure. At times you don't realize that failure makes you grow. You can learn from your mistakes. Someone told me, so in fact, some of these changes the CEDA did is because of the beneficiaries. CEDA pay no quotation, give me money, I'm going to buy this. But about the trust or no serious or but now people squandered the money. So nowadays what they do, tell us your suppliers, and then we will pay the suppliers. So when we just say no, they don't choose suppliers for you. We say no, okay, this, go motor center, motor center, okay. If it's a Kolia Safari, modify go Canopy Center example, they pay Canopy Center.
But when we look at now the landscape of entrepreneurship in the country, more especially tapping into both young people and this unemployment problem that we have in the country. In the stories that you have been having with these different people, how do they come to entrepreneurship? Is it like a backup plan, because I couldn't find a job, therefore I will go to entrepreneurship. Maybe this is why it's sort of like is affecting the success of our companies.
The good thing is that it's balanced. It's those who've been to school and those who have never been to school, or who did not do well at school. It's all about reading my t-shirt, thinking outside the box. I'll give an example. There's one young man who I really like, Go Hans. This guy on Aira from 5 Go Hans, he didn't do well, but during my time at school, break in he went to see the poultry farm. Okay, where do you want to sell these eggs? Said no, at my former school, I know they eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
So he went to the school, said, CEDA halega dumela gore ka Miami etam funding. The rest is history. The guy is doing well. He's now supplying other schools.
Yeah.
And then other people, like what I always advise people, your 8 to 5 job, don't just look at it as your income earner.
Yeah.
Use it to learn, so that tomorrow you can do something, tapping into the experience that you gained while you were working. For example, there's a lady who opened a school, a kindergarten school, because she was a teacher in a kindergarten school.
Yeah.
So she learned the basics. Okay, CEDA, I have the experience. Open a school for me. They did that. So most of the people really, they were working, and then they got inspired about, I can do this.
Yeah.
Baba, when you go high December, look at the needs.
Yeah.
Okay, every time I go, ice. Stop complaining. Ice. Okay, do it. If you think ice, then do it and make money.
Yeah. All right. No, you coming from Maung. I would believe you've been exposed to the tourism life in Maung. You are an avid traveler yourself. You've been exposed to the tourism industry. What are the value chains that currently are there when it comes to the tourism industry? Just apart from you having that lodge that you mentioned earlier on, Yadi Chalet, what other else is there that we could maybe tap into? Was particularly also looking at your creative side of life.
There's so many. I'll give just a few examples. Those lodges, tourists go there, right? So if you are going to have housed there for the tourists direct, that's something. It's another byproduct here at tourism. It's just one example, but there are just too many. But it's one of those. There are just too many. I mean, if you have a lodge, like there are lodges there, but about okay, how you can do Mukoro. It's one about Mukoro, but a local is doing Mukoro excursions. Benefiting where he couldn't have brought Makwa from Europe. But now because they are here, but there's something else you can do while we are here.
And then in terms of storytelling, I think this is something that maybe even just using your case as a study, you could take it to the next level. The story of what is happening with our tourism industry, Botswana, needs to be told. What your friend Charles is doing with NetGeo is something big that really needs to be encouraged in our creatives.
No, it's true. And it's sad, and I hope it will change. I'm sorry to say this. We in Botswana, we still don't believe in ourselves. I mean, we've been to these schools. I mean, look at these guys, look at these cameras. But when how go somewhere without mentioning names, they say, no, I can do this documentary for 1 million. But that was or local, why are you charging this? But someone comes from outside, they feel no, that price is justified. So I think we need to start to believing in ourselves. No, we can do this. We can tell our stories. And we need to pay our people for telling these stories. So that they are not told by outsiders, and we believe outsiders can tell these stories better than locals. So I think it's mindset change. That's all we need. Mindset change. I don't know, but one can do it.
And I think it comes to just communicating your value as a talent, right?
Yes, it's true. And still, people that you need to communicate your value to, they don't get the value. If they think, okay, and then sure, they don't understand what goes, the work that goes behind getting all that footage and all that. So we should perhaps start or stop selling ourselves short or cheap.
Yeah.
But if I say no, this to do this, it's this much. You can check.
Yeah.
You can check with others or the prevailing market how much. Or I'm not insane to be quoting this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
And the other thing would be just okay, we'll call it connections, Botswana, but it's more really into building a community, building a network of people that you could easily, tap into and just come to me and say, kind of this is what I want to do, and this is the track record of what I have been doing, and I don't know how that has played a role in you getting the different jobs that you have got into.
I don't believe in connections. I've seen people who have connections, who got gigs through connections, fail dismally. Because, connections will get the job, but if you cannot do the job, you're going to be exposed. So that is why I always try, if I'm going to get this job or to ask to be given this job, I want to do it diligently so that because when I started, when I started this CEDA thing, people, so you won't believe, I almost didn't get this job. If I didn't have a CEO who has balls of steel, who is very decisive, people were telling him, hey, what this guy was BDP, so what he said, no, now I'm looking at his value, what he did for Rediscover Botswana, his social media outreach. That's all I need from him. So it was his job then. And trust me, CEDA is one of the organizations that I really hit hard. But they didn't take it. The CEO didn't take it personal because at the time I could back up my stories with facts. So. This guy or what?
But how did you get to then be given that the second chance? Do you think maybe I would call it a second chance because, like you did say,
second chance from what was the first chance?
The first chance was you working the job that you worked, right?
As a journalist,
right? And you sort of being the Bruce Lee and harsh and everything else, and then maybe getting people to sort of like then trust you again to do the work that you would actually get to do.
It's because I explained what I can do. Now, in this role as a brand ambassador, I told them, I didn't need to tell them. They knew the history. I was a journalist, I was doing this. So I didn't come to them and say, because I was a hard-hitting journalist, this is what I'm going to do. No, I said, okay, now I'm going to tell your stories, feel-good stories. As they are, we are not going to sugarcoat anything. We'll go to people and they will tell their stories and I'll share your stories with the people. So really, it didn't need much convincing. They trusted me or no. I got no brand ambassador CEDA big similar. So it was all about writing a killer proposal that outlined the objectives, the intentions, and the modus operandi of the proposal.
All right, so let's go towards the end of our conversation. Young people are people by Langore. They are, tech savvy. We spend a lot of our time on social media. We've got gazillion followers. Converting those numbers, you got to convert your numbers to not social media followers, but now your bank balance.
Monetizing your followership.
Just give a word of advice to the youngsters listening right now on that line.
They should not use social media. The thing with social media is social media is like tablet. Okay, right now the voice The Voice newspaper, my favorite newspaper. It's the best-selling newspaper in the country. Actually, it's the only newspaper I think that continued to print during COVID.
Yeah.
Do you know why? We buy it because we want to read Shaya or okay, who slept with you. People love negative stories. Okay, it's in our nature everywhere. Tablets do sell. So even on social media, you need to be very careful with your followership. I have 110K now, still counting followers.
Yeah.
But to get that number, you need to be someone who writes. How can level about followership? Facebook. Negative, post such things. And such things, yes, they will like your page, they will do that, but you will never be able to monetize it.
Yeah.
Because in my proposals, right now, when I write to CEDA, BTO, I quote my numbers. So you can go on social media and check my followership and the conversations I have with these 110,000 people.
Yeah.
But now, if you are going to say, I have 200,000 followers, and then the organization that you want to engage or that you want them to engage you, they go there, we tell her, no, yes, we have 200, but you also do a level name. Then it's pointless. So my advice would be use these numbers positively and meaningfully. Social media that will lot because you'll have 200,000 people or something. So you need to be very careful.
All right, no, bro. So thank you very much for having a conversation with us. We've gotten something from this conversation. Our viewer listeners, they are getting something from this, and all the best of luck with your future endeavors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we come to the end of our conversation today on Convo Lounge. Do follow us on the different social media platforms using the hashtag Convo Lounge Africa or WhatsApp at 762 that number.
This is the Convo Lounge. Expression, exposure, experience.